Is COVID-19 the biggest pandemic? Or will it ever be? Anyway, that's a story for another day. Today we are going to show you 10 worst pandemics the world experienced throughout the history. Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Shavi and these are the 10 worst pandemic happened in the world. Before you start, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Number 10 in our list goes to Antonine Plague, also known as the Plague of Galen. The Antonine Plague was an ancient pandemic that affected Asia Minor, Egypt, Greece, and Italy, and is thought to have been either smallpox or measles. Though the true cause is still unknown, this unknown disease was brought back by Roman soldiers returning from Mesopotamia around the year 165. They had spread a disease which would end up killing over 5 million people and decimating the Roman army. Number 9. Plague of Justinian. Thought to have killed perhaps half of the population of Europe. The Plague of Justinian was an outbreak of bubonic plague that afflicted the Byzantine Empire and Mediterranean port cities, killing up to 25 million people in its year-long reign of terror. Generally regarded the first recorded incident of bubonic plague. The Plague of Justinian left its mark in the world, killing up to a quarter of the population of Eastern Mediterranean and devastating of city Constantinople, killing an estimated 5,000 people per day, eventually resulting in death of 40% of the city population. Number 8. The Black Death. From 1346 to 1353, an outbreak of plague ravaged Europe, Africa, and Asia, with an estimated death toll between 75 to 200 million people. Thought to have originated in Asia, the plague most likely jumped continents via fleas living on the rats so frequently lived aboard merchant ships. Ports, being major urban centers at the time, were the perfect breeding ground for the rats and fleas, and thus the insidious bacterium flourished, devastating 3 continents in its wake. At number 7, Third Cholera Pandemic. Generally considered the deadliest of 7 cholera pandemics, the third major outbreak of cholera in 19th century lasted from 1850 to 1860. Like the first and second pandemic, the third cholera pandemic originated in India, spreading from Ganges River Delta before tearing through Asia, Europe, North America, and Africa, and ending the lives of over 1 million people. British physician John Snow, while working in a poor area of London, tracked a case of cholera and eventually succeeded in identifying contaminated water as the mean of transmission for this disease. Unfortunately, the same year as his discovery went down as the worst year of pandemic, in which 23,000 people died in Great Britain. Next up at number 6, Flu Pandemic. Originally the Asiatic flu, or Russian flu as it was called, this strain was thought to be an outbreak of influenza A virus subtype H2N2, though recent discovery had instead found the cause of to be the influenza A virus subtype H3N8. The first cases were observed in May 1889 in 3 separate distant locations: Bukhara in Central Asia, Athabasca in northwestern Canada, and Greenland. Rapid population growth of the 19th century, specifically in urban areas, only helped the flu spread, and before going long the outbreak had spread across the globe. Though it was the first true pandemic in the era of bacteriology and much was learned from it. In the end, the 1889 and to 1890 flu pandemic claimed the lives of over 1 million individuals. Number 5. Sixth cholera pandemic. Like its 5 previous incarnations, the 6th cholera pandemic originated in India where it killed over 800,000 before spreading the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe and Russia. The 6th cholera pandemic was also the source of the last American outbreak of cholera, 1910 to 1911. American health authorities, having learned from the past, quickly sought to isolate the infected, and in the dead, only 11 deaths occurred in US. By 1923, cholera cases had been cut down dramatically, although it was still a constant in India. At number 4, flu pandemic. Between 1918 and 1920, a disturbingly deadly outbreak of influenza tore across the globe, infecting over a third of the world population and ending the lives of 20 to 50 million people. The first 500 million people were infected in the 1918 pandemic. The mortality rate was estimated at 10 to 20%, with up to 25 million deaths in its first week alone. What separated the 1980 flu pandemic from the other influenza outbreak was the victims were influenza had always previously killed only juvenile, elderly or even weaker patients. It had begun to strike down hard and completely healthy young adults while leaving children and those with weaker immune system alive. Number 3. Asian flu. Asian flu was a pandemic outbreak of influenza A of the H2N2 subtype that originated in China in 1956 and lasted until 1958. In its 2 years of spree, Asian flu traveled from the Chinese province Guizhou to Singapore, Hong Kong, and the United States. Estimated for the death toll of the Asian flu vary depending on the source, but the World Health Organization placed the final tally at approximately 2 million deaths, 69,800 of those US alone. Number 2. Flu pandemic 1968. A category 2 flu pandemic, sometimes referred to as the Hong Kong flu. The 1968 flu pandemic was caused by H3N2 strain of influenza A virus, a genetic offshoot of the H2N2 subtype. From the first reported case on July 13, 1968 in Hong Kong, it took 17 days before outbreak of the virus reported in Singapore and Vietnam, and within 3 months spread to Philippines, India, Australia, Europe and United States. While the 1968 pandemic had a comparatively low mortality rate like 5%, it still resulted the death of more than 1 million people, including 500,000 residents of Hong Kong, approximately 15% of its population at the time. The last but not least in our list goes to HIV/AIDS pandemic. First identified in Democratic Republic of Congo in 1976, HIV/AIDS has truly proven itself a global pandemic, killing more than 36 million people since 1981. Currently, there are between 31 to 35 million people living with HIV. The vast majority of those are in sub-Saharan Africa, where 5% of the population is infected, roughly 20 million people. As awareness has grown, new treatment has been developed that make HIV far more manageable, and many of those infected go into lead productive lives. Between 2005 and 2012, the annual globe death from HIV/AIDS dropped from 2.2 million to 1.6 million.
Hey, thank you guys for watching the video. Please do give us your feedback about this one, and yeah, do not forget to subscribe. See you in next one. Stay awesome, stay connected.